as a spiritual anchor in these frenetic times. She piloted the course of UCM's identity when many challenges arose and worked diligently with the board to meet set goals. In my many years of spiritual service, having weathered the spiritual undulations and exigencies, the little emergencies, that UCM has experienced can only be anchored by someone who is already qualified to do so. That is the karma of incarnation, that we are already poised and powerful to undertake future roles that we assent to, but do not always perceive the heavy toll of such service. Reverend Sandy had the spiritual power within her being to anchor such energies for UCM. Sometimes the energies roiling and evolving quickly. Taking on that role of leadership requires much spiritual power, especially in our time here on earth, described by the ancients as the golden era of inner transformation that we are experiencing now. When a person takes that spiritual mantle, challenges come of great magnitude, and it speaks to Reverend Sandy's character and virtue to have the mental endurance and spiritual perseverance to see her task through at UCM. I know Reverend Sandy's desire for you is to continue your spiritual path, follow your heart, no matter the exterior circumstances, and maintain strong inner focus. I know that if you wish to honor her accomplishments in this lifetime, she would desire for you to fulfill yours. Many gentle blessings to you, my dear friend Sandy. On your journey home, may the guides and masters that attended you in this lifetime effortlessly be with you in the next incarnation. May the dharma of your right action be due reward to help all beings evolve beyond illusion. And we collectively stand to honor, love, and respect your selfless service in helping humanity's spiritual awakening. And so it is.
So it is.
Looks like we're getting the connection.
Yep.
We've got the connection, the inner connection.
We found the missing link. We are the missing link.
We're all set, Tom.
He's gone. Okay.
Extra link here. So as they're almost done with the setup, I declare this annual business meeting open. And I would ask our lovely Reverend Carol Fitzgerald to do the roll call. Oh, you've given it to me.
Who else wants it?
I don't know how else.
Right.
You don't know how to control, well, first of all,
I'm probably
Just a
gonna-
second, I'll be right there with the roll call.
you have to let go of being out of control.
My understanding is I'm leaving before this is over, so.
All the things and everything? Okay. So I would like to officially do the roll call for the Board of Trustees for the Universal Church of the Master for the membership meeting for 2016. President Jelusich.
Here.
Vice President Garry. Here. Treasurer Reverend Skinner.
Here.
Secretary Reverend Carol Fitzgerald. Board Trustee Barbara Richmond.
Here.
Reverend Doti Boon.
Here.
Mike Ginsberg.
Here.
And Reverend Debbie U. Harriet is, she's been excused due to personal situations, so she's not here. Her services were needed for memorial. So, thank you very much, and roll call is complete.
And the projector is beginning to throw photons onto the wall.
Just not at the speed of light yet.
Oh, look, the light.
Thank you, Kat.
Which lights do you want on, Richard? Is that it? Can you see
We
that?
can turn these out, I can see just fine.
So there's no signal, now what does that mean?
Sometimes you have to go into the display and turn on the external monitor,
You wanna do that?
the control panel.
It's thinking. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Chris.
Now people make more protons to make a much bigger picture. Oh my goodness. We will expand the light. You are making the picture more bigger.
That's what he's talking about.
There we go. Excellent.
Can the lens be?
Use this, I hate to,
You can put it on the table?
There we go. We should move the plastic up from underneath
I don't think it's that, I'm just thinking about maybe should I take the picture down and move it towards the middle of the room, so you don't have the.
it. Oh, that's okay.
Okay, I think that's okay. Can you see that okay?
Yes,
Relatively?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the bar was in your presentation.
The bar was in-
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
And you can hear me fine, right?
Yes.
That looked like it.
If you speak louder.
If you speak a little louder.
Is my voice going through the recorder?
No,
No.
Are you recording
No.
this?
You're loud enough for the camera, that's
I'm loud enough for the, okay, good, that's what's.
well, that's what I usually, yeah, if I can hear it, I expect the camera to be able to hear it.
Okay, good.
Could we use the guitar mic for him?
No, I'm
To
good.
go through the house?
No problem,
I just want to remind you
no
that
problem, you're fine.
as we are heading towards the top of the hill to seek the enlightenment, I know you know this because we're a group of spiritualists, you're heading towards yourself. I really would love for you and enjoy for you to get this and to let go of someplace you think you need to get to, because if you live in a oneness, you're already there. There's nothing to find. There's only to reveal what you already have. The greatest teachers that have ever taught have always taught that the kingdom is within you. So as you are striving and you think you don't have it all together, you may not feel you've assembled the pieces. They're all there. So be still and know.
Be still and know.
And to know the next slide. Maybe they want us to dwell on this.
I'm a multicolored.
The blessing
I'm a
and the
rainbow.
curse of technology. Well, it's there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all things electronic. Your anus and that's so juvenile. Oh, you said it. Yay! Woo! Guru!
Just took a little focus. So, you know, every president that comes along has some ideas for spiritual growth. I had this wonderful conversation with Oyasin last night, and we talked a little bit about how the Buddhists would say, God chooses you, you don't choose God. And then when that happens, sometimes we go, what were you thinking, right? You chose me to do this. And the trouble is, our spirit knows precisely what to do. It is this that gets in the way. There is a wonderful teacher by the name of Sogyal Rinpoche, and he says the cause of all of our problems is thinking. Too much thinking.
I knew it.
So to me, our number one focus in UCM is our personal, spiritual awakening and development. That's number one. Because if we don't emanate the quality of awakened beings, why should we tell someone else to do that? If we don't inculcate or embody faith, which is trusting with your heart what your mind doesn't yet know, why should we teach it to someone else? So as ministers, our number one priority is our own continuous awakening. We are like the petals of a flower. No one tells the petals what to do. The petals are not talking to each other like, okay, you open here, you do this. All of the petals just know precisely what to do. Your spirit knows precisely what to do. So my focus is to help that spiritual development to be continuous, vibrant, and prolific in UCM, which goes to our outreach. And our outreach is continuing more in the social media mass networking venue because a lot of our ministers don't live here. And we live in an era where these abilities to communicate are completely understood. Ask anybody under 30, you know, would you just give up your iPad for an hour or two? I'm sorry, you took my arm off there. Tapping into a resource. I would be willing to bet that all of you have come at one point to an acknowledgement what a vast resource of knowledge and expertise base there is in UCM. How many ministers have so many years of experience? It's one thing to teach from a book and know the academics, but when you have a spiritual awakening, a spiritual experience of actually having done the work, we can tap into that. And we can record it, and we can make it available, either live or through recordings to other ministers who really want to know how is it we do what we do, what gives us our spiritual strength, and how can we promulgate, or how can we make that formal to go out into the world. And lastly, the education is key. So I would challenge you to continue to educate yourselves, but also to come forward to a board member, to myself, and let me know what skills you have that you might like to offer to your fellow ministers so that we can increase our pool of knowledge and expertise in spirituality, especially in this era of what is called the golden era of inner transformation, where the rapidity by which changes are happening, a lot of people don't know exactly what questions to even ask you. But their spirit will lead them to you, and they'll look at you and they'll go, I don't know why I'm talking to you, but I know I need to talk to you. And you go, oh, I see. I understand, because you are intuitive, and you have taken the risk to explore your intuition to wherever it has led you, which gives you the ability to see into the soul of that person who has a vague understanding, but their spirit walked you into their life, and you say, I think I may be able to help you, assist you on your sacred path. Oh no. Did you do it again?
While you're doing that, I'm going to try something here.
Let's see the cube again.
I'm sorry, folks, it's not my computer, and I think what I will do is I'll just copy this to the hard drive so it's not coming off the flash drive.
Good idea.
Put it in there, just put it in any of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's right, there's only the C drive there. Okay.
You need to provide administrator permission.
You have my permission.
C, drive.
Put it to desktop.
To the desktop.
Yeah, put it
Yeah.
to desktop.
Put it to desktop.
Just pass out copies to everyone.
I'm getting there, guys. I may be slow, but I'm slow.
Just breathe, we're good.
You know, we're all here.
Breath
The
in,
cue.
breath out.
We're one with spirit, we're good.
We are one with spirit, we are one with love. We are one with spirit, we are one with love. We are one with spirit, we are one with love. We are one, we are one. Cube, I saw it. Home to the cube.
You started, Sean.
My fault.
I'll take it.
And that was the place where I was going to read the eulogy about Sandy. She was president of UCM from 2001 to 2013, on the board of trustees from 1992 to 2001. The previous president, Reverend W. Harriet, resigned. Do you mind if I sit while I?
No.
The previous president, Reverend W. Harriet, resigned effective December 31st, 2015. Notice was received prior to the November board meeting so that the board could elect a new president effective January 1st of this year. That was me. And the installation of new officers was completed in January of this year. I am the first remote president. Now, I hope you don't think I'm remote.
Is that better than virtual?
He is very remote. But I'm the first male president in 33 years.
Wow.
I'm the only president who is not a resident of the area where headquarters may be.
Wow.
And I think it's a sign of the times, you know. And I have been embodying a lot of what is called the feminine principle ever since I started this, which is the path of the heart. So I think that there is a kind of a balance that is being achieved here as UCM continues to morph and change with the era that we've chosen to incarnate collectively. So I do come 4 times a year for, of course, for board meetings, but I've asked the board, and they gave me unanimous approval to come 4 extra times per year because I felt that my personal presence here makes me more available, because sometimes we can talk on the phone, but there's something about sitting across from someone, making eye contact, that you cannot do remotely, and I get that. So I have made the effort to be here more often.
Thank you, Richard.
And I'll let the board members speak to some of these, but our funds adjustment investments have changed from market investments into savings. We have a fast track method that is in the bylaws, but we're looking at how to improve that and how to make it a little bit more streamlined. The bylaw changes are usually a very big deal to get done. And thank you, Reverend Mary and the board, for accomplishing that. It may not seem like a big deal,
that's big.
but when you start going down through the little iterations, there's a lot to it. Social media networking. We have a young lady who lives in Canada, Erin Teichrob, who has been doing a lot of work for me in my own light news, but we brought her on board to do some work every month to do social media networking enhancements, and she knows all the little secret tools of how to get names up there in internet search engines, how to make Facebook postings that will automatically post at the most advantageous times when you might be looking at it. So to me, that is a direction we absolutely have to go, is for people who are online and don't really get their information any other way. The education updates, the Tuesday evening lectures, we are going to have quarterly, all-day Saturday classes. They are getting recorded, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in the education. We also have now our own YouTube UCM fan page. Hey, look at that. Membership statistics. We have 6 new students in the U.S. In Canada, 4 new licentiate students and 1 ordination student, I suppose you would say. Credentials, 3 reverends and 3 ministers. 23 charters, including the new charter by our Reverend Sean, men of UCM. a resigned charter by Reverends Luca and Mary Menchik from Cedar Creek, an inactive charter by Reverend James Haywood. I might have misspelled that, and I'm sorry, in Sun City, Arizona.
That's Haywood.
Sorry. 263 members, 208, 63 of whom are lifetime members, 33 ministers, 22 healers, 3 resigned, 5 reinstated, 20 read out, non-payment over 2 years. 3 deceased are Reverend Dr. Sandy Clark, Reverend Virginia Essene, Reverend John Medansky, and Chris came to me at lunch, and I didn't realize this, and I'm sorry, I still don't know all of the anniversaries well enough to know who's been of note, so I apologize in advance for anybody I might have overlooked. But our own Reverend Lynn Rogers is just celebrating her 30 years in UCM.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Reverend Tana, also 30 years.
And Tana Marie, also 30 years, in 1986. That's when you were ordained.
Yeah,
30 years of experience, you think that counts for something?
It's 90 if we put it all together.
Okay.
That's almost 100
That's
years.
that Canadian.
really
good.
wise.
Almost 100 years of experience.
Yeah. Future goals, review of sponsorship requirements and uniformity of how we sponsor our ministers, which means, you know, UCM trains the teachers, that's you. You create the congregations. So we are always looking to improve the way teachers are trained to be better teachers. And so once again, you know, you have a board that works to put these programs together, but you are the church. So if you have ideas, constructive comments, anything that comes to you, some great inspiration, please let me or a board member know so that we can take that and use that as a bija, a seed sound, to create even greater ways of creating even greater ministers. A robust education program, including distance learning. We have on the website now several uploaded audio and some video, and that's going to keep going. Quarterly full-day workshops, which I'll get into in the education section, and joint studies with the Pacifica Islamic Educational Center, including Islam for ministers, and a Ramadan dinner. Now, you're probably wondering what that is. Those are your lucky lotto numbers.
Yeah.
That is my cell number.
Ooh, yummy.
It is true. I am single, but that's not why that's up there.
So that was not a solar installation salesman that called me?
And let me tell you why I put that on there. I teach healers training. I've been teaching it almost 18 years now. And one of the things I tell my students is we get together every 3 months, and then they work for 3 months, okay? So it's every 3 months we teach a couple levels. And I said, I know I'm not here all the time for you, but here's how to get a hold of me. What does that do for the student? It puts it in their lap, not mine. So the reason I'm putting my own cell number up there is I'm putting the responsibility on you. If you have a problem, a concern, if you want to bitch at me, call that number. And the reason I have that number is because 1-800-GET-HOLY was taken.
How about 1-800-GET-BITCHED at?
No, but I'm very serious about that, because if I can't fix it if I don't know what's broken. If I don't know what's broken. For instance, Dottie and I, we agreed to have weekly phone calls Thursday afternoons. And we just, we talk about a lot of stuff, not just church stuff, but we have an opportunity to have a conversation, a dialogue. Hey, what's going on? What can we fix? What's happening? How can we make this better? And this is our spiritual community. So if you want to participate, or if you don't feel like the direct connection, you can always connect with the office and the phone number. But I felt it very important to put that up there, because I want to be available to you. Now, on the other side of that equation, there's always an equal sign. On the other side of the equation is my continuous habit to take on way too much. And I know that. But I also have an amazing and loving community of light beings who support me. And I want you to know I appreciate that, and I take your comments and your constructive ideas to my heart. And like you, I do the best I can with what I have, one step at a time. So now I would like to hand it over to our illustrious Vice President, Reverend Mary Garry.
All right.
Isn't it? Well, what we tried to do is to just identify the major items that the board members have worked on through the years, through the year. And these are the items that I have worked on. I was conference chair, and in my duties at conference chair, this morning I already acknowledged people that were had committee responsibilities and such, and of course I missed some. So I wanted to take care of that right now. I had a vice chair. She wasn't in charge of vice. She was just in charge of keeping me from being involved in vice, and that was no small job for Barbara Richmond.
Yay, Barbara!
Yay, Barbara!
Barbara!
And the person who's in charge of entertainment tonight, we always find entertaining. And that's our board member, Mike Ginsberg.
Yay, Mike! Yay!
You can help me, did I miss any other chairs? I don't think so, but then I hadn't thought I'd missed those two, and they were only pretty significant in my personal life. Okay. We wanted a conference together. The board developed this together. We wanted a conference which would touch your hearts, which would open your hearts, and would give you tools for your hearts. And I think we accomplished that, and I hope by the end of the conference you'll accomplish that too. Your bylaws are in your packets. Please don't read them now. They're finally printed and available and chronicled some of the changes that we felt necessary for the organization. It's been a couple of years in development. Also in there is just, we have to update lots of things, but Deirdre and I, by electronic sharing, updated the history of the church, and that's in your bylaws also, in your packet also. I was going to bring the policy and procedure manual because we've improved it substantially, and I was so pleased, but it was too heavy. I was very tired coming back from North Carolina, and it's, it's like this thick, and we combine work that a lot of people have done, and I think it's much improved. Dottie pointed out to us that we needed really to improve our new board member orientation program. So we made a concerted effort to do that this time. I developed a book for them that had the past minutes, that had the duties of the board member, that had outreach telephone numbers for the rest of the board, that had the calendar for the year and the calendar quarterly. We have a quarterly calendar at headquarters that says what you're expected to manage that month, and we keep the board conversant with that.
Do I get one to find out what I missed?
Excuse me?
I said, do I get one of those to find out what I missed while I was in trustee?
While you were waiting for orientation?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had increased time in the office because what we did was that I tried to manage administrative things that someone in the office might have managed while Richard was free to do the spiritual growth and direction and educational things that we needed for the organization, and I think it worked out pretty well. And I worked on Fast Track. Now that is to the beginning. It has a long ways to go, but Fast Track has been in our bylaws for a long time with no guidance for either the sponsoring minister or the board. And so we worked at developing that. You can use Fast Track, and you will find that we have Fast Track members who are receiving their licentiate papers today. But we want to continue to develop that tool. That's it for me.
Wow, that's a lot.
Now, financial reports from Reverend David Skinner, our treasurer.
Woo!
All right.
I'll try not to kill you with numbers this year. First up is some accomplishments for 2015, and you'll notice that the headquarters events, which is a combination of special events such as installations and the Christmas Eve service that we have done in the past, as well as the educational program and then the rental of the office to outside groups, generated $10,000. Which is significantly more than the previous year. We also, in 2015, extended the lease on our office space in San Jose for 3 years. We pulled the investment portfolio that was with Wells Fargo Bank, and in doing that, it was because of the performance both of the portfolio and in the stock market. And we did that at a loss of $22,000. We invested $450,000 in 2014, in October of 2014, with a strategy of having a 6% return, and unfortunately the greater economic picture deteriorated to the point to where the volatility in the stock market increased and the gross national product in China tanked. Our gross national product has declined. We had a federal rate increase. All of those contributed to instability. And we recognized that it was just too great of an issue for us to continue with the current folks, which was Wells Fargo Bank. And quite honestly, we also weren't particularly happy with the way the portfolio was being managed. We do want to say that two things. One is that we did make adjustments along the way to improve the performance and minimize the loss. And secondly, had we not pulled the money out of the stock market, that loss would have been greater than what it is. The other thing that we did was to purchase new computers for the office. Our computers were anywhere from 7 to plus 10 years old. We are having issues with a number of them, and it was just time to upgrade. And so we have done that, and we're good to go into the future. For 2016, we're obviously looking at what to do with the money that we pull out of the stock market. Currently, we have $49,000 in the checking account, $513,000 sitting in our savings account. And the first step that the board agreed to do is to take $100,000 and ladder that into 4 CDs of $25,000 apiece over the next year, so that every quarter you'll have a CD coming due, which provides us access to cash should we need it. We have carried something in the neighborhood of $86,000 in the savings account over the past 3 years, and we're going to lower that a little bit because we have actually been able to meet our operating expenses from year to year. And then we formed a finance committee to take a look at what to do with the balance of that $513,000. And so we are not in any rush to go out and make significant changes. However, we do want to see if we can't at least bring additional income rather than sitting in the money market account that it's currently in, which is earning, excuse me, less than 1%. And so we will move forward with that. And that doesn't mean that we're going to do something or do something anytime soon, but we certainly want to take a look at our options and do that. We have financial policies and procedures that are almost done. Some of them are done, and some of them still have to be finished. That's my job. And then those will be going to the manual that Mary was just talking about, but we're close on that. And finally, as some of you may or may not know, I step off the board in just a few minutes, and I'll be stepping down in my role as treasurer. And I have been working with the gentleman that's going to replace me, and I am so grateful to Bob Hofstetter. Bob, stand up. Volunteering to take on this task, and you know, he's in the same position I was 3 years ago. It's like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But he is coming along very well, and I also want to give a shout out to Mary Lou for the support that she's given him today. The support that she will be giving him in the months ahead. I also want to say that I've told Bob and the board that I am not abandoning Bob, that I will be available for consultations for at least 6 months. So this will get him through the majority of the year and the majority of the responsibilities for a treasurer, so that he will have at least one go-round with support and help, and then he'll be on his own.
Before we stop talking about treasury, I'd like to give a huge vote appreciation to David, who's made up procedures for QuickBooks installation. Hold it for just a little bit.
Okay.
Procedures for how to do QuickBooks that even an idiot could start figuring it out, kind of, if you can understand QuickBooks. But David's been patient and helpful, and for the last almost 3 months, we've been steadily learning this. So I hugely appreciate you, David, for your help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say that it has been an honor to be of service to the UCM community. And, you know, over these past 3 years, there's been times when it's been very challenging, but that's how we learn. And I want to thank Mary and Debbie through the years, and also the rest of the board for their support. And as they say, you know, it takes a community, and it has been a community effort, particularly a board effort. And for the new board members that are coming on, I'm sure that they will have a collective wisdom to guide this church into the future, and particularly deal well with its financial future. Next up is the numbers that everybody loves so much.
And
Maybe
froze
not.
once again.
Maybe not. Okay, well, I'm done. You.
Wyatt froze. Your assets are frozen.
My assets are frozen. We have some beautiful pie charts coming in.
Or not.
Lemon meringue.
Yay, my favorite.
I have no idea what's making it freeze.
Okay.
Let me get.
Okay.
We got a little circle of light.
This means it's thinking. Means it's thinking.
It's my computer. It does it to me all the time in here.
Does it need your
No,
healing
no,
touch?
it doesn't. I swear and kick at it, and it doesn't. That doesn't help, by the way.
My son calls that applied science.
Applied science. I mean, it works fine at home. It works fine at UCM. It works fine at Starbucks. It just doesn't work well in here. So, Richard, it isn't you. It's the computer.
Hey,
Hey, woo, pie chart!
Okay, just, we did a financial education. This is the profit and loss statement, which shows you the money you brought in and the money that went out. So the money you brought in is expenses, that's one part. is income. The money that went out is expenses, and then there's another part which is called, and we see it down here, net other income expense. And that is the performance of the investment portfolio minus the advisory management fees that show up in the expenses. Now, we've made an adjustment here also. This Lance Corbinick bequeath, in 2014, we received $345,000 from the estate of Quentin Lance Corbinick. And then it came in two parts. The second part was $22,973. And when you go back and you try and look at from year to year to year, what happens is that this bequeath just kind of blows the numbers. It makes it very difficult to really tell how you did from year to year. So we did an adjustment on the income, and we pulled the bequeath out of there to get an idea of what we really brought in. So you can see the $47,000 to the $44,000. And if you remember, we had 20 ministers that were read out. A few folks passed away. Part of that is certainly a decline in our membership. Expense-wise, $50,000 in 2015. We're looking at $61,000 in 2015, and we're going to go into these numbers in a little more detail. And then we come up with the net income. We have the other income or expenses, and again, those are primarily the investment portfolio, which is the value of that portfolio over time. That's when the stock market goes up and down. It goes up, we look good, we make money. It goes down, we don't. And then it's also income off the investment, which we tend to get on a quarterly basis. You add those all together and you come up with a net income, which is, bottom line, what the performance was for the year. So we see in 2014, we lost $5,900, and in this 2015, it was $30,000. The vast majority of that actually goes back to the investment portfolio. And then we add back in the Corbinick bequeath, and then we actually see what our net income was if we were to look at it from an accounting perspective. Let's try the next one, Richard.
Yay! Woo!
Whoa, that worked. All right. Okay, so I did this a little bit different just to flip it. Here's our contributions income. That includes that $10,000 plus the bequeaths over here, and then additional income that people gave in terms of gifts, and also during our renewal period, and then periodically through the year. Pulled out the bequeath, then we come in for an adjusted contribution. Here's new credentials. These are people that became either licensed ministers, healer practitioners, or ordained ministers. We come into the renewal period. It was $29,000, and here we're looking at $27,000. So we had a $2,000 drop there. And part of this is also because we moved to a mid-year payment process, which was new. So you could either do half a year in December and then pay the other half in July, or you could move and pay your entire renewal fee in July. So there's an adjustment in here for that. Miscellaneous income, we have the nonprofit net income. This money, which was from activities at headquarters, gets rolled back up into the contribution income as part of that $10,000 we talked about. And then we come down to adjusted income. This is the cost of goods sold. This is the ministerial books, and those are, every time we sell a book, we have a cost to that book. And then we also have an income off that book. And what we did this year, I'm sorry, this is the other way around. This is the income, and then these are the costs of the books. What we did is we moved that to a donation process so that we don't have to pay sales tax on it and go through the complications of having to do that. And then we come up with the adjusted gross profit, and then our actual income, which goes back to the previous slide. That's the income piece.
David, real quick.
Yeah.
Now that now that the book sales are by donation, is there any taxable products that UCM is selling at this point in
No.
time? No, there's, okay.
There were only 3 items. We closed the store 2 years ago, and we took whatever remaining inventory was that, and we, I don't know if you remember, or if you were here, we wrote that off, and that was a hit on the balance sheet, but it did not affect the profit and loss statement because those were costs that we had already incurred. And that left 3 items in the inventory, our 2 ministerial books and then some book bags, and we had written off the book bags when we wrote off all the rest of the inventory. Okay, on the expense side, you can see Board of Trustees expense. Those were primarily payments that were made to the Executive Committee. As you know, the Executive Committee, which was Mary, Deborah, and myself, worked for a year and a half without any compensation, and it was decided that we needed to be getting some kind of money. So that we've capped it. It's basically comes out to $7,000 a year is the compensation that goes to the president, vice president, and the treasurer, and then we also, if need be, to a board member for some special circumstance. Financial, the $4,000, 2014, $7,000. Most of that is the investment fees, but it's also the fees on our credit card, both on the credit card and then also on when you guys pay your fees through Corky, and we use the virtual terminal, we get charged a fee for that, the privilege of doing that, and those fees are included in
And
here.
PayPal.
And PayPal also, yes.
And the bank probably charges us something too if we take checks.
Right. Okay, we come down to insurance, and that's basically the directors and officers liability insurance, business insurance, and then workman's compensation. Office expenses, that is rent, computers, maintenance agreements. It's just kind of a hodgepodge of things that are focused on the office. And our rent goes up $90 a month every year. So that 3-year rental agreement we signed, actually next month it goes up $90. Not $80, I'm sorry, because we were able to negotiate $10 off of that, so it goes up $80.
Good for you.
All right. Okay, payroll expenses, that's Corky, to be quite honest about it. Thank you, Corky.
Thank you.
Here's sales tax from 2014, and actually, most of that $63 was refunded to us. And then we have state registrations, as you probably know. In order for us to be legal to operate both within the state of California and across the country, we have to register as a nonprofit corporation, a foreign nonprofit corporation in all states outside of California, and then we file an annual report. And for the privilege of filing that report, which is required, they charge us a fee. And that's what these fees are. We come to the website, it was $336.14. That was Constant Contact, which is how we communicate with you guys, prayer requests and headquarters highlights. And then we come down, we pop over for the $27.65, and that was, thank you, Sean, that was primarily money that we used to pay Sean to develop the new website.
Bravo.
So we thank him for that. When we add those all up, and you come up with total expenses, your net operating income, then you go back and you look at what you brought in, and you subtract what went out, and that's that number. And then the final piece, next slide, this is part 3, and this is other income, and again, this is primarily, has to do with the investment account, so we see dividend income for 2014, 2015, and then we see what's unrealized gain or loss. That's the value or the loss in the portfolio. So that's that $450,000 we initially invested, and that goes up and down depending on what the stock market does. So then we come up with our total other income, and then we have reconciliation discrepancies. Occasionally we have a little something that crops up, and that's what those are. It has to do with the, primarily with the checking account, and we go in and fix those at a later date. And then you come up with your net other income, and then the adjusted income. There's that $5,888 for 2014. Here's the $30,000 from 2015, and then we add the Corbinic contribution back in, and we come back to what our actual net income was, looking at it from an accounting perspective. And I think, is that the last one? Oh, no, we got one more. Okay, here's April. This brings us up to date. Okay. So these are comparisons of 2015. This is the month of April. So 15 to 16, you see income, expenses, and our net operating income. Then we add in piece number 3. And again, these are, well, for 2015, that is your portfolio performance. And this 96 cents is some interest income off the checking account, actually. And so you come up with a net income in April, $4,327, and a minus $5,000 for April. Part of the reason why that's $5,000 is because we ended up paying rent for April and May. In April, normally we pay a month ahead of time, and that one of those payments, which was $1,520, would have fallen into the previous month. And then also we have that for the board expenses, and that's because of Easter and training Bob, and we missed those, getting them into our normal monthly flow.
Bob?
April looks really good for 2015, and that's because of the performance of the portfolio. We made money. There was dividend income, and the value of the portfolio also increased that month. We come to year-to-date, again 2015 and 16, and we're looking at a net income bottom line of $1,044 for the first 4 months of 2015. And here we have a loss of $8,906 for 2016. Now, we worked really, really, really hard the first 2 years to streamline operations within the office and reduce costs. And we got to the point where we squeezed as much money out of the operation as we possibly could. And so what this loss reflects is in part the rent increase. We gave Corky a raise this year.
Well deserved.
And I'm trying to think of what the third piece was.
Computers.
What? Computers? Yeah, computers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's where we are. Unfortunately, this second April. Unfortunately, until we are growing the membership, and as we continue to grow the membership, and we can increase the income, we're gonna be in a deficit situation. And in reality, the church has operated in a deficit situation for all but 2 of the past 15 years. And if you go back farther, the records get a little sketchy, and it's difficult to tell just exactly what the finances of the church were. But you know, we're doing all right in terms of looking at budget year to date. We're on budget for year to date, and part of that, as I see it, is that if you're going to be here in the South Bay area and you're going to have an office and need an office, then you have to pay for that. So, and unfortunately, that means we get challenged financially, but we have a nice nest egg to help us through this growth period. And you know, the whole board is focused in that area, so I'm anticipating an improvement in our economic situation in the years ahead, rather than, you know, a decline, that it will improve. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify, so all the money that was in a portfolio is not in a portfolio anymore, so there won't be any losses from up and down, or is that not correct?
That's correct. The money has been pulled out of the stock market, and that's why the savings account went from 83,000 to 513,000.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
For the area of deductions, that interested me, like to see if there might be any other deductions to which we're entitled as a church, as a nonprofit, to look into other areas.
Okay, you mean related to the tax?
To taxes, yeah, that we might be eligible
Okay.
to help with that.
Well, right now, we're not paying taxes. Okay, as a nonprofit and as a church, you know, we don't have to deal with the IRS.
So what did the category deductions mean?
Well, that was because the church, when they had the office on Washington in Santa Clara, thought, and because they were a business and the upstairs was rented out to Livonia School, that was a commercial use, and that they then had to pay taxes on that. Well, it was true they had to pay taxes on the second floor, but not on the first. And so the money that Reverend Clark was able to get back from the franchise tax board was that money.
Oh, that's what I was seeing.
Yeah, the
in
tax.
recent years.
Yeah.
It's a deduction.
Yeah. Okay.
I also want you to know that in yesterday's board meeting, I challenged existing and the incoming board members, everyone to give me ideas, concepts, and strategies to gain new membership. And I want to extend that challenge to all of you. If you've got ideas, I would love to hear them, please.
Are you talking membership or people who are in training to become ministers? Ministers.
And Frozen once again.
Well, you don't have to worry about me, because guess what? I don't have any slides. I just have, and I want you to know that you're all going to be tested on all that information. So what I'd like to do right now, because numbers just, I'm going to speak for myself. Number one, I'm so grateful that the transparency that we have now is as it is. You know, that there's clarity, there's information that is really coming to us so that we are educated. And, you know, at the same time, I kind of get glazed over. So it's important, and I'd like us all to do two big ohms. So I have been on board for 3 years. And in the last year, I've served as the secretary. So I take board minutes. I'm taking the annual membership minutes for this meeting today. And I have, when asked, I have helped to create and officiate ceremonies of transition, anything that is of importance. I deeply am grateful to be a part of creating the magic with all of you. It feeds my soul deeply. I've also had, whenever I've been asked, or whenever I've had the opportunity, I've taught. I'm going to be teaching again this summer in the Tuesday classes. And I've been helping out with, you know, the election process. So I have information that you don't have yet. So I want to say that it has been an absolute honor to be on this board, in this, particularly these last 3 years. I was on the board in the 90s, and I want you to know that, I mean, this has always been a family for me. I have felt a part of this family. Sometimes I'm at a distance, I'm a distant relative, and sometimes I'm a little closer. And, you know, with my ancestral connections, it's family. So I am aware, maybe along with some of the rest of you who've been here for a number of decades, that there has been a profound shift in the focus, in the grounding, in the attention to detail and heart, and there's just an intentionality that I have been experiencing over the last number of years that has heartened me profoundly. And it's evolving, it's an evolutionary process. And I'm quite excited about this new group that is going to be working the magic and doing the numbers and doing the work of captaining this ship, this relationship of the Universal Church of the Master. What else do I want to say? I want to say that my sponsoring minister who ordained me, that I studied with, Reverend Ruth Kirk, who was an integral part of this church and gave such service for so many years. She passed this last year. Aww. And I had the great honor of officiating her memorial. And it is my intention to write a piece for the Light News so that I can speak to her gifts and what she offered to the world, the whole world, but in particular us. She was in the office every week. She was secretary of the board. She was a Bostonian, proper lady, whose husband was a professor at Stanford. And she saw auras, and she was something. So I'm feeling her here today, and I want to honor her spirit. And her daughter gave a gift to UCM that I'm in the process of finding an altar cloth for the altar at headquarters, so that her energy will be sort of physically manifest. I also want to say that I have experienced our president's availability and his openness, and I encourage everyone to, if the spirit moves you, reach out and pick up the phone and call that number that was up there. Also, every once in a while I'll get things from Obama, and he's encouraging me to participate in this democracy. And I say to myself, I'm too busy, I'm this, I'm that, But I know that it's about being the change that I want to see in the world. Besides my vote, right? And so the same is true here in this organization, in this church, in this family. And this is a democracy. And so I'm plugging, in particular, I'm going to continue. I'm going off the board today, actually. I didn't run for re-election, and with great gratitude, I step aside so that a new energy can come in, and as I said, work a new kind of magic. So, but I'm going to keep doing the altar signups. And you get the prayer requests, right? And I really want to encourage you at the signups over there at the front desk for 2016. What is remaining? I know, Dottie, you're doing June, and I can't remember who's doing August. And we're just, it's a beautiful thing. It empowers. Thank you. There are the signups that Jan's holding up. So please think about signing up and just taking the risk.
Okay.
What else do I want to say? I'm going to continue, at least for this next year, to be the secretary for the board, so that I'm, slowly weaning myself away from the experience. I think that is all that I want to say, but I have written down here, we are a lovely family. We are worth sustaining and nurturing. Our spiritually inclusiveness as an organization is a deep and wise balm for the ills of this time. So, yay to us.
Thank you for your service, Carol. Thank you for your service.
And now Reverend Dottie,
Okay. Where do you want me?
wherever you'd like to be.
Hi. For those of you who have been getting cards through email, if you're not on email, let me know. I decided that you all should be aware, just get something in the email that says Merry Christmas. It said Valentine's Day, Easter, Passover, and all of the different celebrations. So I've been sending those out. And I want help with you giving me the name of other card lines that I can use and do the same thing. I think it is nice to get something in the mail that you know is from the UCM Board of Trustees, so that's what I've been doing. And I'm going to be, I'm also, this is my last day, last hour. And so I'm going to be continuing doing that, so just, make sure. I'm going to send you a congratulations, it's your anniversary from the time that you became a member of UCM. So we have all these people that don't even know exactly when they became a member of UCM. So you're going to get an anniversary card. So, but please, sign up if you're not getting those, because my list might not have been updated as far as your new. I'm still on AOL, so maybe some of you have gone into another email server, so please let me know. But it's been fun. I took over Ben Nelson's remaining
Edwards.
Ben Edwards. I called him Ben Nelson yesterday too. Somewhere there's a Ben Nelson that's trying to get a hold of me. Ben Edwards, and it's been enjoyable being on board. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dottie.
And place your bids for the silent auction.
Yes.
Place your bids for the silent auction, please do. Oh, something I wanted to mention. Those things that do not have any bids, and you don't take them today, we're going to leave them up for tomorrow for the Sunday service.
Excellent.
And so, just to let you know that you might think about it and go, I wanted to bid on that painting, okay, or I wanted to bid on that book. So tomorrow you got another chance, okay? Thank you.
I'm not sure, but I think it's time for a break. I think that's the, let me take a look. Ah, yes, there it is. So we're going to take a short break, and you have an opportunity to visit the silent auction once again. So please do so, and then we will resume.